It was cold, it was chaotic, and it was way more dramatic than it needed to be. Barcelona go to Prague, deal with treacherous temperatures, set-piece problems, and an injury to Pedri, and they still may control their own destiny in the Champions League. And trust me, we will get into all of those permutations later on here in the 5 headlines. But before that, welcome to episode 772 of the Barcelona podcast, brought to you by the Blue Wire Podcast Network. I'm Dan Hilton, and as always, thank you so much. We are, at this point of recording, less than 5,000 subscribers away from that awesome 100,000 person mark. So please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Help me out on Patreon and the merch store that continues to help me make shows like this. And of course, thank you to everybody that joined me in the watch along on Big Up today for this one. Please join me on Sunday for that one against Real Oviedo. And for those who played a prediction game, thanks for playing along as well. All right, with all that done, let's get into it. Here are the 5 headlines from Barcelona's 4-2 win over Slavia Prague. Headline 1 is set piece Uh-Ohs. And the Uh-Ohs could have actually started when it came to missed chances too. The first note I had from this match came in the 7th minute. Fermin Lopez got a ball over the top to him. He brings it down well, comes inside on his defender, and just skies it over the net. It was a really rough start from Fermin with that missed chance. And because of that match against Real Sociedad over the weekend, those missed chances, I was already on the edge of my seat in a way that I didn't want to be. And what happens when you miss your chances in the Champions League? Well, more often than not, you get bit. They'd only scored 2 goals in the Champions League phase, but here's a third for Slavia Prague. Set piece corner for the home team. It's Rafinha or Balde. They lose out on the header at the near post, and then the flick onto the back post, and De Jong gets beat by Concede, who might have fouled Joan Garcia. Did he? Kind of just walked it into the goal, but it's not called any foul on Joan Garcia or De Jong, and instead it slips into the back of the net. Concede has a goal, and Slavia Prague are up 1-0 10 minutes in a game that they really didn't look up to. At that point, up 1-0. Now, yes, Slavia Prague still need to get all 3 points and score a bunch of goals to help themselves out into potentially making the knockout rounds. But they also, against Barcelona, accepted who they were and how that goal might come. So they settled into a deep, low block, and they forced Barcelona to fight not only against them, but against the temperature as well. And the midfield with just 2 real midfielders, Slavia Prague was going to take their chances with those 50-50s. Now, I thought De Jong, at this point I'll say it and I can reiterate it later, in the 20th minute he had this huge long run, which in other games I would have said, hey, there's that one good moment from De Jong. But no, I thought De Jong, yes, Fermin Lopez with a brace got the man of the match, but he was my man of the match. I thought De Jong, for all the space he had to cover and all the work that he had to do on the evening, I actually thought, even missing out on a few duels here or there, he was really important to giving Barcelona the experience and calm they needed in what was, as I said, a chaotic and cold game. And in that cold weather as well, it should be mentioned, it did play a part. You have to mention not only just the Pedri injury we'll get to later, but there was a lot of high bounces. A lot of energy is drained when you're dealing with -8 Celsius or 17 degrees Fahrenheit. That is really cold. So it was a challenge for Barcelona to bring the ball down and to have any bit of control. And it's not surprising that players that do like to have the ball to feet, like a Rooney Bardghji, did struggle in this game because it was difficult with those high bounces to really take charge. And any of that close movement, I wouldn't have been surprised if Lamine Yamal might have struggled in this one too. Headline 2, Fermín the Brave. I'll reiterate again that after that first goal was scored by Slavia Prague, it was all about Barcelona breaking down that low block. For Slavia Prague, a lot of their attacks came down their right side, so against Balde and Gerard Martin. But in the same regard, anything that Barcelona were doing in the first 15-20 minutes of the match had to come down their left side through Balde. So a lot of lung-breaking runs from him, both with the ball, and I hear you on the frustrations with his offense, but he also had to defend like heck too. And Gerard Martin was put in a bunch of different compromising positions in the first half of that game, but he dealt with them as well as he needed to. And I think for Gerard Martin, I was happy enough with it. Eric Garcia, I'll actually take this time too to mention that I didn't love Gerard Martin and Eric against the transitions for Slavia Prague, but I also thought Eric was really, really good. And as we'll see in the second half, they gave him way too much time and space on the ball as Slavia Prague did get tired. The cold was also, they're just human, affecting them. So as they slowed a little bit on that press, which I thought was really good for Slavia Prague in the first 25 minutes or so, that meant Eric had more time and space on the ball to be able to hit some of those passes. And Eric was essential with the ball at his feet in the second half to open up the home team. 29th minute, Eric also forced a save from Stanek. As I just mentioned, he had some time and space on the ball. It was a long shot. Goalkeeper saw it the whole way, but Barcelona starting to pepper with some of those long shots. And all that peppering did help. The goal comes in the 34th minute. The first, I should say, it's Eric to De Jong to Fermín, and he finishes from the tight angle. This is because Slavia Prague did not put enough pressure on Eric. They didn't put enough pressure on De Jong into the box. And then Fermín from that tight angle, it still was a hard finish. So credit to him here. It goes off the keeper's knee at the near post, and that makes it 1-1. Let's jump ahead to the 42nd minute because those themes of Slavia Prague kind of losing their shape a little bit in that low block, that continued towards halftime. The 2-1 came because Pedri had way too much time on the ball. Tell me we heard that before. With the setup, there's too much time for him. And then Fermín, he also has way too much time on the ball too. He finds the bottom corner with some power just outside the penalty box with that shot. That's now 5 goals in 6 matches in the Champions League for Fermin Lopez. So we could talk about his big miss before he had the brace, but hey, this is a really good brace. These are high-level difficulty shots. And Fermín, hey, if you're going to give him 3 touches to set himself up, then he's going to knock that one home. Get why he got the man of the match. I gave my opinion. But yeah, Fermin Lopez, that dude's a goal scorer. And we will whisper here a little bit for Joe Fernandez. Again, he's looking to try to take the spot of Fermin Lopez or Dani Olmo, and he's just not doing that this season. Or, again, who knows? Because both those guys are still pretty young. Headline 3, instantly concede again. And the again comes from that match over the weekend against Real Sociedad, where it took less than a minute. This time, at least, is this a positive that it took double that time? So less than 2 minutes. It's again another corner, also set piece Uh-Ohs to the near post. Lewandowsi gets screened by Eric, and the ball beats Juan Garcia off of Lewandowsi at the near post. It is an own goal for Lewandowsi. That's tough sledding. He would need a goal just to get one back, which will happen again later. But at that point, yeah, it's 2-2, heading to halftime. Not so great. I was surprised to see, and this might have to do something to temperature as well, that Slavia Prague, they made 2 subs at halftime. Barcelona did not answer, and it was a good start for Barcelona. Maybe it was those subs messing with some of that continuity. Pedri getting through the middle, it's saved by the keeper. And the 50th minute, it's offsides on the goal from Frenkie de Jong. Fermín shot, saved by the keeper. Lewandowsi and de Jong go to pounce on it. Lewandowsi, his first shot attempt into the keeper. And VAR then, after review, says that it was Lewandowski's arm that was offside. I mean, this is really, really, really close for Lewandowski, which, again, if you see the whole season as a huge narrative coming off of the Real Sociedad VAR decisions, yeah, it's tough. And de Jong, he was definitely onside, though, on the finish if they had counted it. 52nd minute, too, Eric and de Jong, they create a transition opportunity. Rafinha can't keep it down. It's another high chance, big chance opportunity for Barcelona that they couldn't convert. And I will mention here, too, maybe Rafinha was being a little bit careful because of the weather to not overexert himself. Maybe he probably shouldn't have started this one. It should have been Rashford. But instead, Rafinha gets to start and didn't really feature and didn't really have his best day either. At least he's fit at this point. Headline 4, Pedri down but Olmo up. Yeah, I guess some good news for Rafinha ever so slightly with his health, but Pedri, this is where the bad news is. He goes down the 59th minute, holding his right hamstring, grimacing as he walked off, and that will keep him out for a few weeks, maybe a month or longer. In comes Dani Olmo. Rashford also entered for Rooney, so Rafinha moves over to the right side. But just to speak of Pedri here, early reports are that it'll be 3 to 4 weeks conservatively, and you know with Pedri, when he has the muscle stuff, 3 to 4 weeks, even though he's been healthy now for about 2.5, 3 full seasons, it still winds up being a little bit longer for him consistently. Now, silver lining. Yes, Pedri down. That's not a silver lining at all. Barcelona could find themselves out of the Copa del Rey. They could find themselves to deal with knockouts in the Champions League, and they could also find themselves dropping points in the Liga, which would not be great. But again, silver lining here is that the schedule is pretty favorable. If you were going to pick any 4 weeks that Pedri would be missing, I guess you pick Real Oviedo, Copenhagen, Elche, Albacete, Mallorca, and Girona. That takes us to February the 15th, or 3.5 weeks from now. So if Pedri is only out for 3.5 to 4 weeks, then all of the names that I just mentioned are teams that on paper, even without Pedri, I get it. Pedri is what makes everything run, but one player does not a team make. They need to find themselves, as in everybody else, they need to find themselves as a team over the next 4 weeks. And all those teams I mentioned, yes, of course, Elche's been pretty good. Copenhagen has had their moments in the Champions League. Albacete upset Real Madrid. But yeah, there are no excuses there. You've got to figure something out. If you really want to win those trophies, these are the teams you got to get a result against. And then headline 5 is destiny in hand. The other good news is that even when Pedri going down, Barcelona were able to continue the pressure, continue to push, and they get 2 more goals to help themselves out in the goal differential. 63rd minute, it's a shot from Lewandowski. Barcelona keep it into Slavia Prague, attacking third. And then Olmo with a missile from outside the box to the top corner. Again, Slavia Prague deciding not to mark those Barcelona midfielders and attackers right outside the box. and they wind up paying for it. It's a really clean finish by Olmo too. Good to see that both he and Fermin, at a really good time, again with Pedri going down, are finding the back of the net. Then the 71st minute, Lewandowsi makes up for the own goal, puts it home, but this is a lot of Rashford on this goal. Balde makes the run into the final third. Again, whenever we talk about what he doesn't do offensively, also mention moments like that. The ball comes in on the run in behind from Rashford. His cross bounces off of Lewandowski, but the Polish striker sticks with it and gets the second effort. He now has found the net against 39 different teams in the Champions League, overtaking Cristiano Ronaldo at 38. And of course, we have to hit the only Messi has more with 40. Rashford got the assist, and I'll continue to be positive as we close out these 5 headlines. I really like the cameo that he brought into this game, and he really did change things. He made it more vertical against that low block in a way that Rafinha wasn't doing, actually. Rafinha moves over to the right, and I think that helped Barcelona out quite a bit. 78th minute, more praise on more cameos. Araujo and Bernal come in, and I thought Araujo brought that defensive solidity, had a confident and composed little cameo here, and same thing for Bernal. Slowed things down, didn't change the game state, and gave the ball to the players that are meant to make things happen in important moments. So for Bernal, good on him to kind of understand the game tempo right when he arrived, and for Araujo too, confidence building, I think, for both those two guys who, if they wind up coming good, Barcelona are in a really good spot. But Araujo and Bernal have not been who Kool-Aid and Hansi Flick have needed them to be. If those two can continue to build on something here as Pedri is out, it solves a bunch of problems for Hansi Flick. All that good news has now turned in a little bit more bad news. De Jong picks up that yellow late, and he will be missing Copenhagen next week along with Pedri. So that has me thinking that it's going to be Eric at defensive midfield and Olmo and Fermin right in front of him. And for Barcelona, they still, with that trio, should take care of business against Copenhagen. They do, for all intents and purposes, do control their destiny. PSG versus Newcastle, both teams cannot win. They are on 13, and because they're on 13 points as well, as is every team from 6th to 13th in the table, they're all on 13 points. But due to goal differential, Barcelona are in a good spot. They have to win against Copenhagen, and for PSG and Newcastle, one of them will likely drop out of the top 8. So that means Barcelona, take care of business. Find yourself, doesn't matter if you're 7th or 8th, no, find yourself into the top 8th based on that PSG versus Newcastle result, whoever winds up dropping off and not getting the points that are required. And even if both teams only pick up a point, you've got to get the 3 points against Copenhagen FC Barcelona. Because this one was so tight and because goal differential mattered, I knew this, we weren't going to see any of the kids that were named to the bench, including Joan Hernandez, that's going to be signing a renewal soon, or Tommy Marquez or Jofre Torrent. So they were going to have to wait. I knew that with this goal differential mattering, you're only going to get the first division players. And when I talk about the academy, there's a lot going on. Joe Fernandez, Marc-Andre Ter Stegen off to Girona, a lot of moving parts. Andres Cuenca also potentially to Como. So there's a ton of different moving parts in the academy and the first team with transfers. So I don't have time here to talk about it, but I will be seeing you again later on in this week before the weekend. So if you don't want to miss that show, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, all that. I also have a special guest there. So it's not going to just be me rambling. It's special guests that you've met before. So I will have some help in talking about all that transfer stuff. Again, subscribe to the YouTube channel or the podcast apps or on Patreon to get these shows without the ads. That's how you make sure that you don't miss any of that. And as always, until next time, Forza Barca.